The secret piece, hidden beneath the old banyan tree. Part 1. The Whispering Tree. In the peaceful village of Greenville stood a giant banyan tree. Nobody knew how old it was. The tree was so large that its branches covered a wide area. During the day, children played around it, and travelers rested beneath its shade. But after sunset, everyone avoided it. People said strange stories about the tree. Some believed spirits lived there. Others said a treasure was hidden beneath its roots. Ethan Parker, a 17-year-old boy, never believed those stories. He was curious and loved mysteries. One evening, Ethan asked his grandmother, Martha, about the tree. She smiled and said, "My grandfather once told me that something precious is hidden there, but it is not gold." "What is it?" Ethan asked. "I don't know," she replied. "Only a kind and patient heart can discover it." Those words stayed in Ethan's mind. The next morning, he took some food, water, and a notebook and went to the old banyan tree. Birds were singing, and the cool wind made the leaves dance. As he sat beneath the tree, he noticed something carved into a root. He cleaned away the dirt and read. "Those who seek peace must first learn to listen." Before he could understand the meaning, he heard footsteps behind him. He turned around and saw an old man with white hair and a wooden stick. The man smiled gently. "You have finally come," he said. Part 2. The Mysterious Old Man. Ethan looked at the old man with surprise. "Do you know me?" he asked. The man smiled. "No, my child, but I knew someone would come one day. My name is Ethan." "And mine is Samuel." Samuel sat beneath the tree and asked Ethan to sit beside him. "Tell me what you hear," Samuel said. "Birds," Ethan answered. "And the wind. And the river." Samuel smiled. "Close your eyes." Ethan obeyed. For a few minutes, they sat in silence. Slowly, Ethan felt calm. He heard insects in the grass and leaves moving above him. His mind became quiet. "What do you feel?" Samuel asked. "A peace," Ethan answered. Samuel nodded. That is the first lesson. People speak too much and listen too little. Is this the secret of the tree? "No," Samuel replied. "There are 3 lessons." "What are they?" "You will discover them one by one." Then Samuel stood up. "It is time for me to go. Will I see you again? And if your heart stays curious." Samuel walked toward the forest. Moments later, he disappeared. Ethan searched for him, but found nobody. When he returned to the tree, he saw a small wooden box hidden beneath the roots. Written on it were strange words. "To understand others, understand yourself." Part 3. The Hidden Journal. Ethan carefully opened the wooden box. Inside, he found an old journal covered with dust. The pages were yellow, and the handwriting was beautiful. On the first page was written, "My name is Daniel. I once searched the world for happiness." Ethan became excited. He continued reading. Daniel had been a wealthy traveler many years ago. He had money, beautiful clothes, and many friends. Yet, he often felt empty. He traveled to mountains, cities, and oceans searching for happiness, but nothing satisfied him. One day, tired and lonely, Daniel stopped beneath the old banyan tree. There he met a wise man. The man told him, "Peace does not live far away. It lives inside your heart." Daniel laughed at first, but the wise man simply smiled. Ethan turned another page. Daniel had written, "I spent years chasing success, but I forgot to enjoy simple moments." Ethan thought about his own life. Sometimes he worried too much about the future. Perhaps Daniel's words were true. Suddenly, the wind blew strongly. The pages turned by themselves. One sentence caught Ethan's eyes. "A kindness is the path to peace." Ethan wondered what it meant. At that moment, he heard someone calling his name. It was his grandmother. She had come looking for him. Part 4, Grandmother's Story. Grandmother Martha sat beside Ethan. She smiled when she saw the journal. "My grandfather spoke about a journal," she said softly. "You knew about it?" "Only through stories." Ethan showed her Daniel's writings. She carefully touched the old pages. "My grandfather once told me that every generation receives lessons from the tree." "What lessons?" Ethan asked. She smiled. Patience, kindness, and gratitude. Before Ethan could ask more, she stood up. Some answers cannot be rushed. That night, Ethan kept thinking about Daniel. How could someone rich still be unhappy? The next day, he returned to the tree. He read another page. Daniel wrote about his younger days. He had spent most of his life trying to become successful. But success had brought him stress. He had many friends, yet he felt lonely. One sentence touched Ethan deeply. "The world gave me many things, but I forgot to appreciate what I already had." Ethan looked around. He heard birds singing. He saw sunlight passing through the leaves. For the first time, he felt thankful for simple things. Then he noticed another message carved into the roots. It read, "Peace grows when kindness is shared." Part 5, Mrs. Helen. Near Ethan's house lived Mrs. Helen. She was old and lonely. Her children had moved far away. Many villagers ignored her. One afternoon, Ethan saw her carrying heavy water buckets. He quickly helped her. Mrs. Helen smiled warmly. Thank you, Ethan." From that day, he visited her often. He cleaned her yard and listened to her stories. Mrs. Helen became happier. One evening she said, "You remind me of my son." Ethan smiled. Helping her made him feel happy too. Later, he returned to the banyan tree. As he sat quietly, Samuel appeared again. "You have learned something," Samuel said. "What?" "That kindness brings peace." Ethan smiled. "Helping Mrs. Helen made me happy." Samuel nodded. People think happiness comes from receiving. Often it comes from giving. Then Samuel pointed toward the roots. "Read the journal again." Ethan opened it. Daniel had written, "I became richer after I started helping others, even though I earned no money." Ethan finally understood. Kindness itself was a treasure. Samuel smiled. "You are beginning to understand." And once again, he disappeared into the forest. Part 6: The Village Festival. A few days later, Greenville prepared for its annual Village Festival. Colorful decorations filled the streets, and people were busy cooking delicious food and setting up games for children. Everyone seemed happy, except Mr. Harris, the baker. His shop had been damaged by strong rain, and he had no money to repair it. Because of this, he decided not to join the festival. Ethan visited him one afternoon. "Why are you sitting alone?" Ethan asked. Mr. Harris sighed. "Everyone is celebrating, but I have nothing to celebrate." Ethan felt sad for him. That evening, Ethan spoke to several villagers. Together, they repaired the broken roof and cleaned the shop. The next morning, Mr. Harris was surprised to see many people working happily. Tears filled his eyes. "Why are you helping me?" he asked. "Because we are neighbors," Ethan answered. That night, the festival became more joyful than ever. Later, beneath the banyan tree, Ethan met Samuel again. "You have discovered something important," Samuel said. "Oh, what is it?" "Peace becomes stronger when people care for one another." Samuel smiled and disappeared into the darkness. Part 7: A Stormy Night. 1 week later, dark clouds covered the sky. Heavy rain began to fall. Strong winds shook the village, and many trees were damaged. During the night, a loud sound woke Ethan. Part of Mrs. Helen's roof had collapsed. Without hesitation, Ethan ran outside. Several villagers joined him. Together, they helped Mrs. Helen and brought her safely to another house. The storm continued until morning. Many homes were damaged, but nobody was left alone. People shared food, blankets, and water. Later that afternoon, Ethan sat beneath the banyan tree. He opened Daniel's journal. One sentence caught his attention. "Hard times reveal the kindness hidden inside people." Ethan smiled. He had seen those words come true. Just then, Samuel appeared again. "Storms do not only destroy," he said. "They also teach people to stand together." Ethan nodded. Everyone helped each other. Samuel smiled. That is why kindness is stronger than fear. Then he quietly walked into the forest. Part 8: The Lost Boy. One afternoon, the village became worried. Little Leo, an 8-year-old boy, had disappeared. His mother was crying. Everyone began searching. Ethan joined them immediately. Hours passed, but nobody found Leo. As evening approached, Ethan remembered something Samuel had taught him. Stay calm and listen. He walked deeper into the forest and stopped. Suddenly, he heard a faint cry. "Help!" Following the sound, Ethan found Leo sitting beside a small stream. The boy was frightened but unharmed. "Don't worry," Ethan said gently. "I'm here." Leo hugged him tightly. When they returned to the village, everyone cheered. Leo's mother cried tears of joy. That evening, Ethan sat beneath the banyan tree. Another message appeared carved into a root. "The calm heart sees what fear cannot." Samuel appeared beside him. "You listened carefully," he said. "And I found Leo." Samuel nodded proudly. The world speaks quietly. Only peaceful hearts can hear it. Part 9. The Old Photograph. While reading Daniel's journal, Ethan discovered an old photograph hidden between the pages. To his surprise, the picture showed Daniel standing beside a man. It was Samuel. Ethan froze. "How is this possible?" he whispered. The photograph looked very old. Daniel had lived many years ago. Could Samuel really be that old? Confused, Ethan showed the picture to his grandmother. Grandmother Martha became silent. "My grandfather also spoke about a man named Samuel," she said quietly. "But that was over 70 years ago." Ethan couldn't understand. Who was Samuel? Where did he live? Why did nobody know much about him? That evening, Ethan returned to the tree. Samuel appeared as usual. "Who are you?" Ethan asked. Samuel smiled. "Does knowing my age change the lessons?" "No." "Then perhaps some mysteries are better left unanswered." Ethan looked at the photograph. Samuel only smiled and gazed at the stars. Part 10. The Third Lesson. One evening, Ethan asked, "You said there were 3 lessons. I've learned listening and kindness. What is the last one?" Samuel smiled. Gratitude." Gratitude. Yes, most people spend their lives complaining about what they don't have. They forget to appreciate what they already possess. Then Samuel handed Ethan a small piece of paper. On it was written, "Every morning, thank life for 3 blessings." Ethan followed the advice. Each day he thanked God for his grandmother, his home, and his health. Slowly, he noticed something amazing. He became happier. Small problems no longer troubled him. People around him noticed the change. One evening, Daniel's journal revealed its final sentence. "True treasure is not buried beneath the roots. It grows inside a thankful heart." Ethan closed the journal and smiled. For the first time, he truly understood. The secret beneath the old banyan tree was never gold. It was peace. And peace came from listening, kindness, and gratitude. But Ethan still didn't know one thing. Would he ever see Samuel again? Part 11. The Stranger from the City. A few months later, a man named Victor arrived in Greenville. He came from the city and planned to buy land near the old banyan tree. "The tree is old and useless," Victor said. "I will cut it down and build a hotel." The villagers were shocked. "This tree is part of our history," they protested. But Victor only laughed. "It is just a tree." Ethan was worried. That evening, he sat beneath the banyan tree and waited for Samuel. The old man appeared quietly. "What should I do?" Ethan asked. Samuel smiled. "Anger never changes hearts. Understanding does." The next day, Ethan invited Victor to spend some time beneath the tree. At first, Victor refused. But after hearing stories about Daniel and the village, he became curious. Hours passed in silence. For the first time in many years, Victor felt calm. He looked at Ethan and said softly, "I have spent my whole life chasing money. Perhaps I forgot what peace feels like." A week later, Victor canceled his plans. Instead of cutting the tree, he helped protect it. The villagers celebrated happily. And Ethan smiled, remembering Samuel's words. Part 12, The Broken Friendship. Ethan had a childhood friend named Jacob. Years ago, they had argued and stopped speaking to each other. One afternoon, Ethan saw Jacob sitting alone near the river. He remembered another sentence from Daniel's journal. "Forgiveness heals wounds that anger cannot." Ethan walked toward him. "Hello, Jacob." And Jacob looked surprised. After all these years, Ethan smiled. "We were friends once. I don't want anger anymore." Jacob lowered his head. "I was wrong too." Both of them laughed and shook hands. Their friendship returned. That evening, Samuel appeared again. "You have learned another lesson," he said. "What lesson?" "Forgiveness brings freedom." Ethan nodded. He felt lighter than before. The anger he had carried for years had disappeared. Samuel smiled proudly. A peaceful heart has no room for hatred. Then he vanished among the trees. Part 13, Daniel's Last Secret. One evening, Ethan opened the journal again. He noticed several pages stuck together. Carefully, he separated them. Inside was Daniel's final message. It read, "When I first came to this tree, I searched for treasure. I dreamed of gold and riches. But I discovered something greater. I learned to listen. I learned kindness. I learned gratitude. And I learned forgiveness. These treasures can never be stolen. If someone finds this journal in the future, remember this. Peace is the greatest wealth a person can have." Ethan closed the journal slowly. Tears filled his eyes. Daniel had spent his whole life searching, and he had left his wisdom for future generations. As the evening wind moved through the branches, Ethan whispered, "Thank you, Daniel." And somewhere in the distance, he heard Samuel's gentle laughter. Part 14, The Long Winter. Winter arrived early that year. Food became scarce. Many families struggled. Without waiting, Ethan organized the villagers. Everyone shared what they had. No family slept hungry. Mrs. Helen cooked soup. Mr. Harris baked bread. Victor brought supplies from the city. People worked together like one family. One night, Ethan sat beneath the tree. Samuel appeared beside him. "Do you see?" he asked. "Yes." When people care for one another, even difficult seasons become easier. Ethan smiled. Peace isn't something we find alone. Samuel nodded. It grows when hearts unite. The stars shined brightly above them, and Ethan felt grateful for every person in Greenville. Part 15, The Truth About Samuel. One evening, Ethan gathered enough courage. Samuel, who are you really? The old man smiled. Why do you ask? Because my grandmother's grandfather knew you. Daniel knew you too, yet you haven't changed. Samuel looked at the ancient tree. Some questions do not need answers. But are you humans? Samuel laughed softly. I am simply a traveler, just like Daniel once was. Will you stay forever? No. Then where will you go? Samuel pointed toward the stars. Wherever peace is needed. Before Ethan could speak again, a strong wind blew through the branches. Leaves danced in the moonlight. And suddenly, Samuel was gone. Only his walking stick remained beneath the tree. Ethan picked it up carefully. Attached to it was a small note. It read, Our journey is not over. Part 16, The Hidden Chamber. Ethan carefully picked up Samuel's walking stick. The note attached to it puzzled him. Our journey is not over. That night, he could not sleep. The next morning, he returned to the old banyan tree. As he leaned Samuel's stick against the roots, he noticed something strange. One of the roots had a small hole perfectly shaped like the bottom of the stick. Curious, Ethan placed the stick inside. Suddenly, he heard a soft sound. A section of roots slowly moved aside, revealing a narrow opening hidden beneath the tree. His heart beat faster. He entered carefully with a lantern. Inside, he found a small stone chamber. There was no gold, no jewels, and no treasure chest. Instead, the room contained books, letters, and journals left by people from many generations. On the wall were written these words, Leave wisdom, not wealth. Leave kindness, not pride. Ethan smiled. Generations before him had come here, learned valuable lessons, and left messages for others. At the center of the chamber stood a wooden box. Inside was a letter addressed to him. It simply said, Dear Ethan, if you are reading this, you have already found the greatest treasure. Peace cannot be bought. Protect this place and continue sharing its lessons. As Samuel. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. He finally understood. Samuel had been preparing him all along. Part 17, A New Beginning. Years passed, and Ethan became a respected young man in Greenville. People often visited him for advice. Whenever someone felt sad, angry, or confused, Ethan listened patiently. He never claimed to be wise. Instead, he shared the lessons he had learned beneath the old banyan tree. One day, a young girl named Lily came to him. My parents argue all the time, she said sadly. Ethan smiled gently. Sometimes peace begins with listening. He taught her to speak kindly and patiently. Months later, Lily returned happily. "My family is better now," she said. Ethan realized that wisdom becomes stronger when shared. That evening, sitting beneath the tree, he felt a familiar breeze. For a moment, he thought he heard Samuel's voice. "Well done, Ethan." He smiled toward the sky. Perhaps Samuel had never truly left. Part 18, The Traveler. One afternoon, a tired traveler named Adrian arrived in Greenville. He looked rich, but his eyes were full of sadness. "I have everything," Adrian told Ethan, "but I feel empty." Ethan smiled. Many years ago, another man said the same thing. He showed Adrian Daniel's journal and invited him to sit beneath the tree. For hours, neither of them spoke. Birds sang softly. The wind moved through the leaves. Finally, Adrian closed his eyes and smiled. "I haven't felt this peaceful in years," he whispered. Before leaving, Adrian said, "You have given me something money could never buy." Ethan smiled. "No, my friend. The tree only reminded you of what was already inside your heart." As Adrian disappeared down the road, Ethan remembered Daniel. And he understood that the lessons would continue long after him. Part 19, Grandmother Martha's Final Gift. One evening, Grandmother Martha became ill. Ethan stayed beside her every day. Though weak, she smiled. "My time is near," she said softly. Tears filled Ethan's eyes. "I don't want to lose you." Grandmother held his hand. "My dear boy, life is like the seasons. Everything changes." She pointed toward the window. "Promise me one thing." "Anything." "Continue spreading kindness." Ethan nodded. A few days later, Grandmother Martha peacefully passed away. The whole village gathered to honor her. Though Ethan was heartbroken, he remembered Samuel's words. "A thankful heart finds peace even in sorrow." That evening, beneath the banyan tree, Ethan whispered, "Thank you, Grandma." The wind gently touched his face, and somehow he felt she was smiling. Part 20, The Secret Beneath the Old Banyan Tree. Many years passed. Ethan grew older. Children played beneath the ancient tree, just as he once had. Travelers came from distant lands to hear his stories. One evening, a curious young boy asked him, "Sir, is there really treasure beneath this tree?" Ethan smiled. "Yes." The boy's eyes widened. "Gold." Ethan laughed softly. "No." He pointed to his heart. "The treasure is here." Then he shared the 4 secrets he had learned. Listen deeply. Show kindness. Forgive freely. Live with gratitude. "These treasures can never be stolen," Ethan said. As the sun disappeared beyond the hills, a gentle breeze passed through the branches. For a brief moment, Ethan thought he saw an old man with white hair standing in the distance, smiling peacefully. It was Samuel. Or perhaps only a memory. Ethan smiled and closed his eyes. The old banyan tree stood proudly beneath the stars, guarding its timeless secret. And in the quiet whisper of its leaves, peace continued to live forever. The end herb sparkles,